SANDF rejects reports that more than 13 South African soldiers were killed during the rebel takeover of the Central African Republic's capital, and a plant to treat the toxic acid mine drainage in Johannesburg will only be up and running by November. I'm Richard Brooks. South Africa's National Defence Force has rejected reports that more than 13 South African soldiers were killed during the rebel takeover of the Central African Republic's capital. The SANDF was reacting after a French news service claimed an eyewitness had seen more than 30 bodies being loaded onto an SANDF plane in Bangu. Defence Minister Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula also denied the reports earlier. SANDF spokesperson Olani Mabanga.
It is irresponsible and mischievous for anybody to come and say we have lost more than 13. And we would like to appeal to those individuals who are claiming that we have more than 13 people to bring the bodies that they claim to be of South African National Defence Force members to the South African National Defence Force authorities.
A plant to treat the toxic acid mine drainage in Johannesburg will only be operational in November. That's according to Wits Professor Terence McCarthy. Toxic acid mine drainage has been contaminating streams and rivers around Joburg's central mining basin for several years. The AMD is also threatening the future of Gold Reef City's popular historic mine shaft. McCarthy explains.
The water level at Gold Reef City is dependent on that pumping. So after November, things should be okay. The water will be contained, and they'll stop the rise. The other thing is that we don't know is that what we've seen, as the water is getting closer to surface, it's rising more and more slowly. And we think that's because there's more open space underground, because they mined more and there's less collapse. So there's more volume to absorb the water that's flowing in. And also, we haven't had much rain this summer, so the amount of water flowing in is going to be probably a little bit less.
There have been new calls for a single body to regulate and enforce the labelling of all food products in South Africa. This follows news that University of Stellenbosch researchers who found meat products with traces of donkey, water, buffalo and goat have agreed to hand over the names of the retailers concerned to the Red Meat Industry Forum. Food industry consultant Nigel Sunley.
If this exercise means that those organizations that were transgressing are subject to the force of the law, well, then I think that's a good thing, because they broke the law and they must suffer the consequences. People are entitled to know what goes into their food, particularly in an area as sensitive as meat. We unfortunately have a bit of a mishmash of enforcement systems in this country. And I think one of the things that many of us would like to see is a single regulatory body.
South Africa is looking at increasing the use of biofuel as the petrol price continues to rise. Rural Development and Land Reform Minister Gugile Nkwinti has made this clear while handing over 25 irrigation farms worth 350 million rand to emerging farmers at Cradock in the Eastern Cape. They are to produce sugar beets for biofuel production at a 2 billion rand plant. Nkwinti hopes the Cradock project will pave the way for other similar ventures.
This is going to be a national demonstration plant to be built at Cradock here. Because it's not only the Eastern Cape, it's other provinces as well, like KwaZulu-Natal, Mpumalanga even, and there could be others, but those certainly. So what's going to happen here is to have a plant here which will demonstrate that this thing can be done. South Africa can actually produce fuel from crops like sugar beet, sugar cane, etc.